perhaps one of the biggest titles in any medium, Star Wars, and it's reappearing on PC with MMO, The Old Republic. We're joined by Greg from Bioware. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us today.
Very, very happy to be here. Happy to chat about it.
Okay, now we've seen quite a few previews of The Old Republic thus far. Can you just sort of describe what players are getting to see here at Gamescom?
Sure, there's two things that are happening here at Gamescom in Germany. One thing, players are getting hands-on time in what we call the Origin Worlds. It's kind of the starting experience for all the 8 character classes. That's one big piece. On top of that, we're actually starting to show some of the end game, some of the real stuff that you find when you get to the maximum levels in the game. One thing we're showing is they're called operations, and that's our version of the raid. So it's larger group play, 8 player, 16 player. Actually on the stage at the show, they're actually playing through part of the beginning of one of the raids and giving players a real sense of how that teamwork applies and how the gameplay works. Also showing a video of something we call Huttball. Huttball is one of our PvP modes. It's actually a sports game made by the Hutts on Nar Shaddaa, this deadly arena with acid and flames. And as the player, you fight it out with a whole bunch of other players to try and bring this ball to the other team's goal line. So kind of a variation on football with the Hutt twist of flames and lethal combat.
Well, you guys have sort of played things very close to your chest in terms of what we'll be seeing in the Old Republic thus far. How does it feel now to be revealing all this? Are you guys slightly nervous? Is there...
No, we're not really nervous. I mean, it's exciting to actually be finally showing it. Like, we tend to be a little close to our chest in that we want to make sure everything's really good when we do show it. So that tends to be, we want to take that right time for everything. And we're getting close to the end. I mean, one thing we've been telling folks is, of course, we're targeting this holiday for the game. And in that process, we're really reaching a stage where we're polishing and finishing things off. We're doing a lot of work behind the scenes on the infrastructure required to host the game, stuff all over the world, all these pieces that make a great service as well as a great game. So really, and it's really actually, demos now become almost easier because we just take any part of the game and we don't do anything special. Say, oh, let's just show Huttball, and go. Then we make a little level where the guys can jump in and play the real game, and then they just play it. So it's very, very, in that sense, it's actually nice. You don't have to do any sort of special preparation to have demos. They just play the game now and see it.
I have to say, now coming into the room here and seeing this absolutely fantastic Old Republic poster, I still get chills. I still get chills. Anything regarding Star Wars. Is it still, even after all this time, do you still get that sort of sense that this is Star Wars we're working on? So is that sense of reverence to it?
Yeah, no, we still do. I mean, I think it's something that, for all of us, it's been really important in our lives when we were kids. If you like, if you like movies and games, they've always been some really big important things. And so it's actually, it's still, and also the fact that we have a chance to actually contribute to the Star Wars universe and working with our partners at Lucas, sort of building little pieces that people will see and explore for the first time in some of these planets. It's pretty amazing. And I think the fact that, like when you step back and look at the things like the characters, right? The character classes we choose, they're all effectively iconic representations of your favorite characters within the Star Wars world. It makes it just that much more rewarding, and we think people are going to really, really enjoy playing it as a result.
I was going to say, because you do have the hardcore Star Wars fan base, it must be watching very, very carefully about every single step you're making with this. Yeah,
no, it's one of those things that you have to be very, thoughtful about what you put in and why you put it in, and making sure things are consistent with the established Star Wars universe. And fortunately, we have a whole bunch of folks. Again, we have the benefit of working with Lucas on this stuff, and they know, hey, should the next Cat be on this planet or that planet? And you're like, we'll figure it out. And some of our guys on our team are really into that and know that stuff well as well. So it's actually useful in terms of making sure that consistency is there, because I think that's actually one of the things the Star Wars fans want to have, is that we're going to deliver you the experience of being a hero or villain in the Star Wars universe. It's got to feel authentic, and I think that's actually one of the most important elements of the game that we're really driving to succeed at.
Well, when we got hands-on with the title a while ago, the presentation was ended with one of the space battles, and can you just sort of talk about how they are filtered into the regular sort of RPG elements of it? Yeah,
sure. So one of the elements of the game is there's sort of a space. It's kind of like almost like a mini game kind of element of space where you go down sort of you get your ship. So about level 10, what happens, or actually a little bit further than that, like between level 10 and 15, you actually get your ship, and then that's a big point in the world. You suddenly can, up to that point, you've been kind of narrowly able to explore just a couple planets, and suddenly you can explore, more. And it's really exciting because then all of a sudden you can actually explore the galaxy, and then you discover there's battles that are integrated into the galaxy. So you can travel to a specific location, you can take part in these battles, and in those battles, and when you win, if you win them, you get certain tokens, and you can return those for different upgrades and stuff for your ship. And so it's kind of like we're trying to make sure it feels integrated and that there's a sort of a ground experience and space experience is kind of matched. I mean, the thing about space, it's optional. You know, it's not like a core requirement. You don't have to do all the space battles. It's really like if you want to choose to do them. But we're going to try to make sure there are lots of fun things to do in space, and also like daily quests that you can like play through and have fun.
And can you sort of can you talk to us a little bit about the end game? Like you said, you're doing your version of the race. Can you sort of detail that for players? What should we expect?
Sure. So for end game, there's a few things. Obviously, we fully expect there'll be like the war zones that we've done so far, talked about, and also there's going to be some flashpoints, which those kind of story-based, smaller group, kind of really specialized dungeons that we'll have. We have something else called heroics as well, which are like kind of like a very finite, very, very focused dungeon. Then probably the biggest sort of set piece thing that we have are something called operations, and that's very much like the traditional raid. Our typical group size is 4 players, so the operations are 8 to 16 players. So it's essentially like 2 to 4 groups simultaneously playing, having to use teamwork. The raids themselves, we haven't detailed too much beyond all of them, but we talked about one called the Eternity Vault. Eternity Vault is this ancient prison that, of course, during the course of the war that happens during the Old Republic gets damaged and something's breaking out. So you have to go down and figure out what it is and go find it. And this is like very, very high level content and very, very highly challenging as well. I mean, our expectation is that people aren't going to succeed the first time they try this. They're going to get wiped and wiped and wiped. But then there's special ways to defeat the bosses. There's sort of mechanics that you have to learn. And when you get it, you defeat the guy, you'll get the best loot in the game. So that's kind of like how very kind of in a traditional sense, but also a little bit of a Bioware twist with story elements, and also we try to add some kind of cool puzzle elements in as well to make them a little more involved, and definitely needing the teams to work together.
I think that's about all we've got time for. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to speak to us. Best of luck with the rest of it.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers.